just initially, the history of any building can't be divorced from its geographical position and its surroundings. So just to kind of set the scene of it a little bit, our address here is Sea Road. And the area of land between here and the Cledda is reclaimed land. So at one time this was actually the coast road out to South Connemara. So it was the main thoroughfare in times gone by for people from that area coming in towards the city. And it was a lot of our custom, even today, are people from Barna and further, and they rarely come to town without going to the Crehan because their fathers stayed and their grandfathers did, etc. I suppose this is where town meets country in particular. Markets developed around the periphery of the city, including one which was here. And those markets, and in particular the one here, which is called the Small Crehan Market, they were running up to the 1930s. And
just to say, sometimes people think the crane is a bird.
Yeah.
Like it's actually not a bird, it's a weighing scales, which is called a crane.
The produce that came to this area here was potatoes and turf. And basically the merchants would come out, the goods would be weighed, and the lads got paid and so on. While the farmers were waiting around, they tended to play, they had games to amuse themselves. One of them was that they used to lift bags of sport one-handed up over their head and see who could lift the heaviest weight and all that kind of thing. I'm sure there was probably people who came into the bar and there might have been even some tunes and dancing, so maybe there has been music in those times, but on market days. Other things, there was a forge here in the square as well, and there was also a toll booth. So people had to pay tolls at various points around the city before they brought goods into the city. The building as it is now, it was built sometime in the 1840s. The families that I can go back to, the earliest one is a family called Flaherty's, the mid to late 30s, and she was quite an elderly woman at that stage. She was in her 80s. So it's quite possible that her or her family were here. That can bring us back to around 1870 or thereabouts. Building sold and was passed on to a couple, Paddy and Angela Smith, who came from Lochray. So they stayed here until the 1950s, and Angela retired and she sold it to her brother, who was a man called Mickey Cohen, which is Joyce. He renamed the pub, he called it the West End Bar. Mickey stayed here until 1970, and he sold it out to a man called Paddy Cummins. He stayed here until 1978, and then I suppose the most significant person to go into the Crehan Bar, except for myself and Maeve, was Paddy Connors. Paddy started regular music sessions. He initially started with a Sunday morning session with a couple, with Sean Ryan, master musician and tin whistle player, two very well-known brothers, Jackie and Tony Small, did the first session, and a few notorious characters like Mickey Finn and and Pat Keneally were here as well. But that was the first session, his first tryout with music, and started regular music sessions on a nightly basis. So it was the first time that there was music every night in the Crehan. Paddy set that up gradually. And there has been traditional music, there has been a music session every night, except for Christmas night, since then, since 1978. So we're talking 40 years. So I think we owe Paddy a lot. For establishing traditional music as something that was important to the city and that has become very important in the culture of Galway. No accident that we'll say the Crehan, Taft's Bar and Tea Corley's are the three major traditional music pubs in town. Jerry and Simon Roach. And they stayed here for a year. They sold it to Martin Lely. By the way, I started playing music in the Crehan Bar when I came here in Martin Lely's time, 1986. So I've been playing here at least one night a week in all that time. The initial gig I did was with Tim Lyons, who's a great singer and accordion player, Galway. So Martin also only stayed here for a year before moving up to Tefts Bar. And he sold it then to Joyce Keneally. Joyce, or his family members, ran it from 1988 up to 1994. And then it was taken over by a brother and sister team, Dave and Mary Larkin. And they stayed here. They were here until 2001. Now Dave still has a very strong connection with the bar here. He runs a singers club called Singing in the Crehan that happens once every 2 months, and it's really successful. There's up to 30 or 40 singers come here on each occasion and some stories and the whole lot. So it has grown into one of the most successful and bigger singers clubs in Ireland. Then 2001, myself and a gentleman by the name of John O'Hanlon, an accordion player from Innisbofin, took over the business here. So John stayed in partnership with me here for 5 years, and but he still plays music here. He plays 2 nights a week here, and himself and myself play here every Tuesday night. Just another nice association that we've had, which began fairly early in our time. We established a relationship with the Traditional Music Society from NUI, and they come here every Tuesday night as well. And there's a group, and there could be 30 or 40 musicians, and they fill the room up here. So we've been here since after Johnny left in 2006. Maeve came in to join me in the business, and it's great to have a strong and capable businesswoman at the helm again. So we're back full square to it.
We're back to Mrs. O'Flaherty. I think it's really important for an area to have a local pub. Like I'm originally from a small town in Mayo, and the pub business in the country is really being decimated. It's very funny things that happen and that can affect business, And one of the things that affected us now, frankly, was the jazz is no longer a parish. So it doesn't be weddings and funerals like there used to be. Weddings and funerals are a publican's gift. One of our locals said that we should, it was a few years ago, I think we could have Pope Benedict. But I think he said to us that we should get in touch with Benedict, and say that we needed a bit of a stipend from Rome due to ecclesiastical slippage. So as long as we're here, we'll try and keep it as a local pub as well as a place where tourists come and there's music, etc. But we'd like to just read a quick poem, and this poem is the one that's on the wall outside. We're part of the Galway Poetry Trail, and we were very excited to be invited to be part of it. The Crehan Bar, Galway. Nobody has anything to say to anybody else who's there mid-afternoon. A handful of souls pacing themselves, minding their business. Is overcast and rain as promised, or it's horsing down in buckets? A woman stands and announces, I won't go back to Limerick, and nobody can make me. Then resumes her seat, her drink, and we in our silence drink to not going back, and raise in our hearts our glasses to nobody being forced to go anywhere they do not want to, until peace reigns again in the whole of the Crehan Bar and in the Little Crehan.